Okay, so today is February 27th, 6:27 p.m. And man, okay, so today, there's this police officer that works at the 7-Eleven up the street from my job. So I take a bus and a trolley to get to work, and I ride the bus up to where the trolley is, and I have to hop on the trolley. And so when I'm waiting for the trolley, I wait in the 7-Eleven, just for like safety reasons and things of that nature. And so because they're used to seeing me, they're cool with me. They think they're cool with me. They low-key look out for me. The cop guy, he is a very sweet, nice dude. Like, he really is really, really nice and really respectful. But he's also at the same time just a little bit, I don't know if I want to call it ignorant or just like still learning about stuff. Yeah, I'll say learning, because he told me he doesn't know a lot. So like sometimes certain things he'll say or do when it comes to me, it'd be like, what the fuck was that? So like, for example, today I walked into the store and I got music in my ear playing. I'm not really focused on much. I'm just like, I'm going to the store. I open the door, and like as soon as he sees me, he does this like girl gay bullshit thing. And I was just like, what the fuck you do that for? And he was like, oh, that was what you were doing when he was walking. I was like, that's not what I just did when I opened the door. What are you talking about? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, I'm just wanted to make you laugh and be silly. I was just like, okay. And so I was like, no, you have this like preconceived notion that like all of us act like so over the top. And I'm like, bro, I don't do that. You see me, I've been working at my job now going on 3 months. You've seen me come in here every day of the week. When the fuck have you ever seen me come in doing this bullshit? Like, when have you ever seen me doing that? Like, I don't do all of that shit. Like, bro, I told you, I keep to myself. I keep my focus. I pay attention to my surroundings. I don't say shit. I don't like none of that shit. Like, why would you do that? And he's also, I know he's Hispanic. I don't know what kind of Hispanic, but he's Hispanic. And so it brought me back to like when I first started talking to him, or he first started talking to me. And he was like, he had this assumption. He asked me, I forget what we were talking about. I know it was around work, and I was just like, yeah, I deal with clients. And he automatically assumed I was talking about sex work. And I was like, no, I don't, like, I'm not about that life. That's not what I do. That's not me. And so he was like surprised, and he was like, I'm sorry, I just don't know about all of this stuff. And he was like, you want me to treat you like a girl? I'm treat you like a girl, and blah, blah, blah. And just like certain little conversations we would have. And, I didn't really open up personally to him about myself and things of that nature. Like, I make it clear, like, to people, like, first, I don't genuinely think I'm that fucking passable. Like, I get how, I guess, like, outside looking in, people think and assume that, but I genuinely do not think that. I genuinely do not assume that. I don't feel that I'm that passable. Like, I have my days where I feel the most beautiful or girly or whatever feminine thing you want to call it, but I don't always feel that way every day. And for my job, as you can see, like, I don't have to get dressed up. I don't have to do a whole lot of being really cute. If I'm dressed up, it's because I was working at something else and I didn't have time to like go change. For my job, I put on sweats and some Uggs and a hoodie and a t-shirt under it, and go, like, and it just be that simple. I don't, no makeup, no nothing. Like, I haven't pressed my hair in God knows how long. I just put it in a ponytail and put it up in a bonnet and go at night and go to sleep and then take it out after I shower and shit. So he then said something to me today that was just like, wow. So he was letting me know he's transferring locations. There's been some shit popping off at the location at that 7-Eleven to the point where now they don't even stay open as late anymore. They close exactly at midnight. And the week that I was going from California, I came back and he had like a bunch of scratches on his face, and I kept asking him like what was wrong with him, like what had happened to him, and he wouldn't tell me. And I don't blame him. He doesn't have to, like he's not required to. Oh my God, I'm not really cold, I'm hot. Got this heat on. He's not required to tell me at all, but I became concerned because I was like, who would give you a hard way to go? You know, you're really nice, and people for the most part, you know, even like some of the drug addicts and folks around here, like they like you. But I don't know, he just like he wouldn't tell me, and then he started letting me know that he was dealing with some personal stuff and like some things that runs in his family, and I was telling him like he should listen to his wife and like go see a doctor, because I think she was most definitely right. Like you need to see someone about it. And I told him, I was like, you know, maybe you should consider transferring locations since, you know, things are getting really problematic over here. And, you know, I was like, people don't know, I don't have a great relationship when it comes to authority, especially police officers and all that other shit. And not even from a racial standpoint, it's literally from a gender standpoint, because when I've had to deal with the police officers, it's always been because of my gender that things kind of went left. And so, and the first time I really experienced it, and I never told anybody this, it was when I was in Georgia and I got my first actual like driving ticket. It was one morning I was taking my brother and sister to school, and dropping them off and everything. And like, I remember I got pulled over because it was like I was quote unquote speeding in a school zone lane. And I was like, it wasn't a school zone lane when I moved away, and then it became one and I just didn't know. Whatever the case is, I was just getting them to school and then driving back home. So he, like typical cops or people, he thought he was talking to a woman, and then when he took my ID card and all of that and took it to his car and came back, like his whole demeanor switched. Like you could feel he was no longer comfortable, and I don't know if it was because of him feeling embarrassed or whatever the case is, but you know, he went ahead and gave me a ticket regardless of the fact that I was like, I just didn't know, and like I wasn't here, and I was telling him like I was home for break from Howard for school. So it was like whatever. So that was my very first like actual ticket. God damn it, I had it hot. And then the whole little rape robbery situation and the situation that I dealt with the cops after that also played into affected my gender. And I don't have a good relationship with police. And what's so crazy is like, as a person of color who has African American and Mexican in them, you'd think that would be my biggest fear, but it is race. But like for me, that's not my biggest fear at all. Like it's more so like them seeing that I'm not a guy or not a girl, and then they just start treating me all types of different and treating me like complete shit. And then it's like they still don't have respect for me as a person. So there's been like select few police officers in my adult life that I fuck with, that I was like, okay, you're pretty cool. And genuinely, the police officer at 7-Eleven, he's one of them. Like he's, like I said, he's just really, really cool, and he's really sweet, and he speaks to me every day. He, he actually for the first time like really asked me like how I'm doing, how's work and stuff. Like he actually asked me that today, and I was surprised. But the police officer today was just like, he said something that was like slightly triggering. He was like, yeah. He's like, because people be asking me why I be talking to you, and you like, they like, that's a dude, right? And then like, oh, that shit just like, wow. And I told him, I was like, I don't really give a shit. I was like, I'm so used to this shit. I'm so used to people. Man, I'm so fucking used to people judging me and talking about me and like being like fucking assholes to me off the rip. I'm so like fucking used to it, bro. Like, I'm so fucking used to it. And sometimes it hurts a little bit more than others, so sometimes I do care. But okay, so the video got interrupted because my child called me and FaceTimed me. She kills me. She always does it when I'm at work. All day she could call me, and she waits till I'm literally at work to be calling me. So yeah, some days I don't feel the best and all that other stuff, but I don't like that people, like, I don't get it. Like, even if you can tell, why does it matter that he's talking to me? He's not, he's a whole married man. He's chilling. I know in like certain contexts that clearly don't matter to some niggas, but he's a respectful dude. Like, he's a police officer. He cares about the people he protects. So, you know, he's one of the few that I'm like, oh, actually gives people like him a good name, because the fuck, I don't fuck with, let alone trust or like police officers. And I told him that I don't fuck with security like that. Like, and he knows I come in there, I keep to myself. I ignore motherfuckers. I don't let niggas talk to me about shit. Like, I got a straight resting bitch face. I don't play that shit. I don't want nothing to do with nothing. And it kills me. I was like that. I keep having to, man, people always got some shit to talk about with me. And it'd be like, I be in my own world. Like, I don't be bothering no fucking body, bruh. I really don't. I don't bother nobody. I don't say shit to nobody. I don't ask for nothing from nobody. Like, it just gets on my freaking nerves sometimes. And I just wish, like, I don't know, man. Like, I wish people didn't care. Like, I genuinely wish people would stop caring. Like, what, do y'all think I'm tricking people that I'm just talking to? Let me be very clear. Every man that has ever tried to hit on me or try to get my number or try to talk to me in public, I turn everyone down. No matter how attractive, no matter how cute, where we're at, what we're doing, I turn every single one of them down because I don't want to deal with any of the mess of the disrespect, and I'm in fear. So I'll be like, yeah, I'm taken, yeah, I got a boyfriend, or no, I'm not, or just like, no, I'm not interested, or like whatever. Like, I turn everybody down, so I never get nobody's number in person. Period. Excuse me. So it's like, y'all don't have to worry about me, quote unquote, tricking somebody or trying to get somebody to like me and all this. Like, man, I say to my fucking self, bro, like, I don't got time for none of that shit. Like, that shit's for the fucking birds. Like, yeah, doing these video vlogs and like venting has been really nice and helpful. But he asked me, police officer today, because he's transferring locations. Thankfully, he listened. But he asked me, like, I don't like the narrative when he was like that's how they want to be treated. And I was like, man, for me, it's deeper than a want for me. And I was like, especially because I didn't want to be treated this way in the beginning. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, I wasn't trying to go down the path of being trans in the beginning at all. I was fighting it. I was like, to be on the funny fucking thing was, people were mistaking me for a fucking girl a good portion of my damn life. Like, that shit, like, the fuck? Like, when I wasn't even trying to be a girl, people would mistake me for one anyway. Like, it's so fucking interesting to me. And he was like, so he asked me, like, what did I mean? And I just like explained to him, like, my, like, a quick, like, my upbringing. I fought it for years, and then I had a conversation with my mother and my sister, and they accepted me, and they said I should just go ahead and go this route because it feels right. It feels like that's what I should do. And so I was just like, okay, and that's what I did. I followed with I listened to them, I trusted them, and I believed them, and that's what I did. And I've been happy, ever since with my decision. But it wasn't like a want. It low-key for me, it felt like a need, and a need that I just should have accepted a long time ago. But he asked me before I left, because a trolley pulled up at the same time he asked the question. He was like, was your father around? And I was just like, people kill me with this question. What does that have to do with any of this? Like, on some real, what does it have to do with, like, any of this? Like, what does that have to do with any of it, right? So, my father, my biological dad, died when I was about 5. But him and my mother weren't together when he passed. She was dating my stepfather, who has been in my life since I was like 3. So I've always had a father figure in my household. I always had a father figure in my life. I had my stepfather, my step-grandfather, my grandfather. I was covered. I had men in my life. So it's not as if I wasn't raised by a man. And what's so funny is my dad saw early on that I might be like gay or whatever the case is. But, and he tried to, if you could say, like, man me up or whatever the case is. And so he tried to get me into sports. He took me to a football game. And I think I only went to like 3 or 4 practices. And the moment we got to the point where we started hitting each other, I got hit and I wasn't allowed to fight him back. So I walked off the field. I don't like getting hit. Like, I want to fight. So I said, fuck football. I got into basketball, I think, a little bit during like elementary school. And it was cool. I wasn't bad, but I wasn't passionate about that shit. So I didn't worry about playing basketball. He introduced me to video games and anime. And those things, they stuck. They stuck with, like, typical, I've always picked girls. Whatever the case is. Whatever. When I was younger. It's fine. But those things stuck to the point where I love anime. I love video games. I love cons and dressing up and shit. Like, I love that shit, like, to the T. Like, there's no question about it. I love it to death. And I think our bonding became a little complicated growing up. But he never mistreated me for my sexuality. I'm sorry. My sexuality or me becoming like me and accepting becoming a woman. He's never mistreated me on those grounds ever. He's mistreated me in other ways, but never has it had anything to do with sexuality or gender. It was hard for him to understand and accept per se, but he had my back regardless, because he also was aware of the type of child he was raising, and he knew my level of intelligence. He knew how I treated people and how I thought and how I think and felt and all that other shit. So, but yeah, my dad was around. He was like, I don't know why people think that like that plays into a fact. And I was like, and I tell that to people so much. I was like, I was raised in a 2-parent household with a very, like, my mother was Christian, my stepfather is atheist, but his parents are Muslim, so I learned how to be a Muslim. And my mom and them is all like Christian and Baptist and all that other shit. So like it's like I was raised in a very I don't know if you want to call it unique or different situation where I learned about so much so young. And then to have my uncle who is artistic and who's artistic and creative and being into the arts and acting and directing and performing and things, like I had so much male. I had a lot of male figures. I had male figures in my life, and none of them were able to stop the future that is now my present at that time. And I'm okay with it. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a problem. I think, I was blessed to have that. And I just want to, put it out there to show folks, like, that, this isn't, I'm not going to jump and say, I don't know if I think it's hereditary. I don't think it's hereditary. I think it was scientifically proven that it's not, but I don't think it's hereditary. It doesn't really, your environment and who you're raised around and by doesn't influence what you become and who you are and how you feel all the time. Some people it does, some people it doesn't. I just want to show, like, that I'm a, prime example of I became the way I am, and I was living in an environment where there was no one like myself. The one gay cousin I was told about died from AIDS in the 90s. And it was like my cousin Marvin. So, and I don't, if I met him, I guess it was like when I was a baby or little. I don't remember him. I've heard great stories though. So it was just like, I don't know. So I'm just venting and talking and saying how I felt about that whole situation today. I wish people would mind their fucking business. And I told the cop that I would answer his question about my father figure question tomorrow, because tomorrow, the 28th, is his last day at the location. And I was like, all right, I will come, and I'll have a conversation with you tomorrow. And I'll actually make sure I come a little early just so we could have the conversation. And I can just, like, tell him about me so then he knows how to treat others that may be like me. And tell him, like, don't do all this, don't do all that gay shit, bro. Like, you're doing the most. I'm not like that. I haven't been like that, I think, since, like, fucking high school. And that was when I was, like, I guess you could say proud of myself, or, like, confident in just being out loud, or whatever the case is. But I ain't been that way since the fuck high school. Like, I'm about to be 30. Nah, that shit's dead. But I guess I'll do another vlog tomorrow and tell y'all how it goes.